When you hear people talk about technology, AI, and chips, it all sounds very far away and very difficult, like a world for other people, not for you. You may think, I clean tables, I wash dishes, I do basic jobs. How can I ever be close to big technology or big ideas? In this video from English 1314, we want to sit next to you and tell you a different kind of story. We will learn English through the true life story of Jensen Huang, the CEO and co-founder of Nvidia. When he was young, he was an immigrant kid who moved to a new country, did not speak English well, and worked in a restaurant washing dishes and cleaning toilets. Slowly, over many years, he became the leader of an important chip and AI company. We will tell his story in slow, simple English so that you can practice listening and shadowing, and so that you can feel deep inside that you can start small too. Welcome to English 1314, a gentle place where you can learn English with real-life stories and friendly voices, not only with dry grammar rules. In this episode, we will tell the story of Jensen Huang in clear A2 level English. He is the CEO and co-founder of Nvidia, a company that makes graphics chips and many other kinds of chips. Chips are tiny electronic parts inside phones, computers, and many machines. Some of these chips are now used for AI, which means artificial intelligence, computers that can learn patterns from data. Do not worry, we will not teach a hard technology lesson. We will focus on the human side of his life, on his childhood in Taiwan and Thailand, his move to the United States as an immigrant kid, his work in a restaurant, his years as a student and a young engineer, and his long journey of building Nvidia through many ups and downs. This video has a simple method for you. First, you just listen and try to understand the main ideas. Second, you listen again and read subtitles if they are available, and notice the easy words and repeated phrases. Third, you choose one small part of the story, maybe 4 to 6 sentences, and you shadow it, which means you repeat the words at the same time as the speaker, like a soft echo. You do not need to be perfect. You only need to show up, listen, and move your mouth in English. Step by step, your ears, your tongue, and your brain will learn to work together. Jensen's story is about long-term effort and courage, and your English journey can follow the same spirit. Jensen Huang was born in Taiwan, in a middle-class family that cared about school and hard work. His father was an engineer, and his mother was a teacher. So from a young age, he saw adults who worked with numbers, ideas, and students. The family valued education and discipline. When Jensen was still a child, his family moved to Thailand for some years because of his father's job. This already showed him that life can change and that people sometimes must move to follow work. Later, his parents made a very big decision. They decided to send Jensen and his brother to the United States when Jensen was still very young. They believed that in the US, their sons could get a better education and more chances for the future, even if the start would be hard. For Jensen, this move was a shock. He almost did not speak any English. He had to live in a new country with new food, new rules, and a new language. He went to a boarding school, which means a school where children live and study in the same place, far from their parents. Life there was not easy. He sometimes felt lonely, sometimes felt that other children did not understand him, and sometimes felt that he was the small foreign kid who spoke differently. Being an immigrant kid, a child who moves to another country to live and study, can be painful. You miss your home, you miss your language, you miss your familiar streets and smells. At the same time, you must learn to survive in the new place. Jensen began to pick up English word by word. He listened, copied sounds, made mistakes, and learned from them. He did not become fluent in one day. It was a slow process, like walking up a long hill. As a teenager, he also started to work in order to help and to learn responsibility. He got a job at a Denny's restaurant. Denny's is a simple American restaurant that is open many hours, where people eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner. At Denny's, Jensen washed dishes in the kitchen, cleaned tables, and sometimes cleaned toilets. These are not glamorous jobs. Your hands get wet and tired. You may have to work late at night or very early in the morning. But he did these jobs with care. He learned that every job has value if you do it well. He learned how to work with other people in a team, how to be on time, and how to serve customers. Little by little, he also used his English at work. He talked with co-workers and with customers in simple sentences. His accent was strong, and his words were not always correct. But he kept trying. This part of his life shows us that starting from the bottom is not a shame. It is a school. For an English learner, this is a powerful image. You may also feel like the person who washes dishes while other people sit and talk. But you can still learn every day, one word at a time. Many other children around him spoke English as their first language and knew the local culture very well. Sometimes he did not understand their jokes or their fast conversations, and this made him feel small. He could have stayed quiet in the corner, but slowly he decided to participate more. He raised his hand in class even when his heart was beating fast. He tried to say his ideas even if the grammar was not perfect. When classmates laughed kindly and helped him find the right words, he learned that most people are happy when you try. He also learned to be patient with himself. Instead of saying, "I am bad at English," he could say, "I am still learning this language." This is a big difference. One sentence closes the door. The other sentence keeps the door open. At Denny's, he also saw many other workers who were immigrants or from simple backgrounds. They came to work tired but still did their best. This gave him respect for all kinds of people and for all kinds of jobs. From the outside, it looked like he was just a boy cleaning plates. From the inside, he was slowly building strong habits and a strong mind that would help him for the rest of his life. After high school, Jensen went on to college in the United States. He studied at a university such as Oregon State University in a program related to electrical engineering. Electrical engineering is the study of how electricity and electronic systems work. It includes things like circuits, signals, and later chips. Jensen chose this field because he liked machines and electronics, and he felt that this area was important for the future. College life was not easy for him. He had to read many books in English, listen to complex lectures, and solve hard homework problems. Sometimes he may have felt like the only small Asian kid in the class. Sometimes he may have looked around the room and thought, I am different from the others. But he kept going. He studied, asked questions, and stayed late in labs. He also worked part-time jobs to support himself, which taught him time management and discipline. In summary, he was not just a student of engineering, he was also a student of life. He learned to balance fatigue, stress, and hope. After finishing his undergraduate degree, Jensen started to work as a chip designer in Silicon Valley. Silicon Valley is an area in California where many technology companies are based. As a young engineer, he did not start as a boss. He was a regular employee in chip companies. Chips are tiny electronic parts inside phones, computers, game consoles, and many other devices. They help control what the device does and how fast it works. Designing chips is careful work. You need to think about how millions or even billions of tiny parts will connect and talk to each other. Jensen spent many years learning this craft. During the day, he worked full-time. At night, he continued to study in graduate school, for example, at Stanford University. This means that he had long days with work and then classes, reading, and projects. It was a clear example of lifelong learning. He did not say, I have a degree, I am finished. He said with his actions, I keep learning, even when I work full-time. In his first 10 years, or more, he was not famous. He was an engineer among many other engineers. He learned about chip design, about how factories make chips, and about how technology companies plan products, talk to customers, and manage risk. He saw products that worked well and products that failed. He saw how teams could sometimes make great things and sometimes miss the market. All of this experience became part of his invisible toolkit. He did not know exactly how he would use it in the future, but he kept filling this toolkit with skills, habits, and observations. For an English learner, this stage of his story shows that long, quiet years of practice are not a waste. They are often the soil that later allows a new tree to grow. On some nights, after a full day of classes and work, he probably felt extremely tired. He might have wanted to give up and choose an easier path, but he kept going one semester at a time. He learned to break big problems into small steps. This is also a useful skill in English. A big book or a long movie can feel impossible, but one page or one short clip is possible today. As a young engineer in Silicon Valley, he was surrounded by many smart people from different countries. He heard many accents and many stories. This taught him that there is more than one way to speak English and more than one way to be successful. He listened closely when older engineers talked about past projects, failures, and surprises. In his mind, he collected these stories like small lessons. He did not know it yet, but all of these lessons would help him later when he had to lead his own company and make his own hard choices. In the early 1990s, after years as an engineer, Jensen Huang and two friends decided to start their own company. They met in a Denny's restaurant. the same kind of place where Jensen had washed dishes as a teenager. At a table there, they talked and planned. They wanted to build a company that focused on graphics chips. Graphics chips help show images on a screen and are very important for computer games. They called the company Nvidia. In the beginning, Nvidia was small and risky. There were many other companies also trying to make graphics chips. The first products from Nvidia were not all perfect. Some designs did not do well in the market. At one point, the company almost went out of business. They had to change their plans and try again. They had to talk to investors and ask for more trust. This period was very stressful. For Jensen, it meant many long days and nights, many hard decisions, and many moments of doubt. But he did not give up. He and his team kept improving their chips. They listened to game developers and to customers. Step by step, Nvidia created stronger graphics processing units, also called GPUs. These GPUs became very good for drawing complex images quickly, which made games look better and move more smoothly. Later, people outside the game world began to notice something interesting. The same kind of chip that was good for graphics could also be very good for certain kinds of math that AI needs. AI, or artificial intelligence, often needs to do many calculations in parallel. At the same time, GPUs can do this very well. So researchers and companies started to use Nvidia GPUs for AI work, for example in training models that can recognize images, understand speech, or work with language. Nvidia then built special tools and software to make it easier to use their chips for AI, supercomputers, and data centers. We do not need the technical details here. The simple idea is that Nvidia moved from only making chips for games to making chips that are a key part of the AI revolution. Over time, Nvidia grew from a small startup to one of the most valuable technology companies in the world. Its chips are now used in many fields, from self-driving car projects to research labs. Through all these changes, Jensen Huang stayed as the CEO. He led the company through good years and bad years, through times of near failure and times of strong success. He often appeared on stage wearing a black leather jacket, speaking to engineers, gamers, and business leaders. When he speaks, he often uses simple words and clear examples to explain complex ideas, because he wants many people to understand, not only experts. He also takes part in charity and education projects. He has given money and support to universities and programs that help students study science, technology, engineering, and math. In this way, he tries to give back to the system that once gave an immigrant kid a chance to study and grow. Inside the company, the team did not only write code and design chips, they also had to listen carefully to what game players and software makers wanted. If a game looked slow or rough, they had to ask why. If a new chip was too expensive, they had to ask how to make it cheaper without losing quality. Jensen spent many hours in meetings, drawing diagrams on boards, asking questions, and pushing his team to think clearly. He tried to create a culture where people could speak honestly about problems and not hide them. This kind of open talk is also important in learning. If you hide your confusion, it grows. If you say, "I do not understand this part yet," you give yourself a chance to learn. When Nvidia moved into AI and high-performance computing, he had to learn new concepts, talk to new kinds of customers, and make big decisions about where to invest money and time. He was no longer just an engineer. He was also a guide for thousands of other people. Even with this high position, he often looked back and remembered his own journey from a shy immigrant kid to a public speaker. This memory helped him stay grounded and remember how hard the first steps can feel. Jensen Huang's story gives us several lessons that you can use as short English sentences in your own life. The first lesson is about starting small. As a teenager, he washed dishes and cleaned toilets. He did small jobs with care, and later he started a company in a simple restaurant. You can turn this idea into a sentence and say, I can start small and grow. You can also say, I am not afraid of small jobs. When you speak these sentences, you remind yourself that your value does not depend on your starting point. The second lesson is that your background does not have to stop you. Jensen was an immigrant kid, a child who moved to another country to live and study. He did not speak English well at first. He was far from home and could feel like an outsider. But slowly, he learned the language, understood the culture, and found his place. You can use simple lines like, my background is not a problem, and I can learn and belong here. These lines can help you when you feel that your town, your school, or your past is too small. The third lesson is about doing hard and dirty work. Cleaning toilets and washing dishes are not glamorous tasks, but Jensen did them with care and learned from them. You can say, I do every job with care. You can also say, I learn from hard work. When you repeat these sentences and then do your daily tasks well, you are building the same kind of inner strength. The fourth lesson is about long-term learning. Jensen studied in university, worked full-time, and then studied more at night. He did not stop learning when he got his first degree or his first job. For your English, you can use the sentence, I keep learning, even when I work full-time. You can also say, I study step by step. These sentences remind you that small daily effort is more important than short, intense bursts. The fifth lesson is about trying new ideas. Starting Nvidia was a risk. There were many other chip companies, and the chance of failure was real. The company almost died at one point, but Jensen and his partners tried again and adjusted their plan. You can say, I am not afraid to try something new, and new ideas can start in small places. For example, a new project can start at your kitchen table or in a small cafe with a notebook, just like Nvidia's plan began at a Denny's table. The sixth lesson is about long-term thinking. In chips and in AI, results often come after many years of research, building, and investment. In his role as CEO, Jensen had to think not only about this year, but about the next 10 years. You can use a simple line, I think about the next 10 years, not only today. This line can balance your mind when you feel upset that your English is not perfect yet. You can tell yourself that you are building something for your future self. If you choose one or two of these sentences and say them out loud every day, they will slowly become part of your inner voice. You can even write them on a small card or in your phone and look at them when you feel tired, shy, or lost. In this way, Jensen Huang's story is not just information about a famous CEO. It becomes a set of simple English tools that help you move forward when life and language feel heavy. CTA now, it is your turn to use this story to grow your English. First, choose one short part of this video, maybe 4 to 6 sentences from the childhood part, the student and engineer part, the Nvidia story, or the life lessons. Play that part again and again. Listen carefully to the sounds, the pauses, and the rhythm. Then try to shadow it, which means you speak at the same time as the voice, like an echo that follows just half a second behind. At the beginning, you may feel slow or confused, but do not worry. It is okay to make mistakes. If you repeat the same lines many times, your tongue will slowly move more easily and your ears will catch more and more small details. Second, write one simple English sentence in the comments about what you learned from Jensen Huang's story. You can answer a question like, "What lesson do you learn from Jensen Huang's story?" Your sentence can be very short. For example, "I can start small and grow." Or, "I keep learning, even when I work full-time." When you write this sentence, you turn a feeling into real words, and you get one more moment of true English practice. If you see other learners' comments, you can answer with a kind line, such as, "Good job, keep going," so that we all feel support and connection. Third, if you like learning English through real-life stories in simple language, subscribe to English 1314 and watch the next videos in this series about famous people. You can make a small plan, like listening to one story 3 times this week or shadowing one short piece every day. You can also keep a small notebook or a note on your phone. After each video, write the date and one sentence you want to keep. Maybe a life lesson line or a phrase that feels strong for you. After some weeks or months, you will have your own little book of English sentences that are alive in your mouth and your heart. On days when you feel tired or behind, you can open this list, read them out loud, and remember that you are already moving. Learning a language takes time, like building a company or a career. You do not need to run fast. You only need to keep walking. When this video ends, take a deep breath, relax your shoulders, and say to yourself, "I practiced today, and that is a success." Then, when you are ready, come back for the next story and take one more small, brave step on your English journey.